Hey guys, I think we're live. Hope everybody's doing great and doing work and building stuff. Yay! Welcome to Coding After 30, Coffee Code and Chat. I got my sip here. Let me know if the audio is working good. Well, let me know if you guys could hear me, if the music is not too loud. Today we are going to talk about this is the channel where the live stream where we build stuff together. We talk about building projects, and sometimes weird things happen, like you're working on something and then you break it, and then to fix it takes forever, and then you can't fix it, so then you have to revert the code. But anyway, so I have issues, but I was like, hey, since you have this issue that you're struggling, besides also talking about the issue that you have, I have lots. Let's talk about how should somebody start a project. Like, how do you go figuring out what to build? Because a lot of times when you build things, especially as a beginner or trying to create something for your portfolio, maybe you don't know where to start. Maybe you project idea is so insane that you start building it and then you never finish it. And so today we're going to talk about how to plan for a project. I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to keep talking about why every project you build should have some sort of CRUD functionality: create, read, update, delete. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show you something that I've been working on just for fun, and maybe give you some ideas of something you guys could build as a project. We also go back and talk about the project that I'm building on the stream. But to be honest with you, I have to figure out something broke on the back end I have to fix. It still works if you go to community project1.com, I believe that's called. It still works, it's still there, but it's because I've reverted it. That's why you guys, need to save all your changes, need to have your GitHub, so if you make a change that breaks something that you try not to do, you're able to revert it and get it back. So let's hi to you guys, folks. HD Global, what's up? How you doing today? Han, we can hear you clearly. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Vinyl Guy, thank you for jumping on again. All the regulars. Gopal KS, what's up? Everything is good. Vinyl Guy, good evening, everyone. Good evening, anyone. Drop a like on your way in. 100% drop a like. So, by the way, I've been doing some free coaching and my scheduling blew up. So I'm going to have to kind of cut that down to like 4 hours a week maybe, because I've done 20 already. I don't know what I was thinking. But I did get a lot of feedback from a lot of you guys. And if you are looking for free coaching that you don't want to pay for, I will shoot a link for you guys. But I know I'm backed up already 3 weeks in advance. Right now, the only time that I'm going to have available is on Sundays for the time being. But if you guys have any questions, you could also ask them on this live, because this is why I do these lives, to talk about some of the things that you're having. If talk about the project that I'm building and kind of like what we need to do. So first thing, what I'm going to do is kind of talk about this idea. Like, one of the worst things that I used to do when I first started learning to code is that when I would have a project idea, I would literally just start coding. I would just go in the terminal and start coding my HTML, my CSS, and then quickly, as the project complexity grew, or just not knowing what to do, I would get lost, right? Because I would literally start coding before knowing what it is I should be coding. So I started to kind of focus on and practicing this idea of like, maybe you should have a plan. Maybe you should plan out what you should build. Like, think about it ahead of time before you start actually putting code. So this is kind of what I want to talk about in this stream. What's up, Anna? Great to see you here. And that's what I want to do, is kind of go over how to plan a project, show you like a super simple project that I built that's working. And anybody who's learning or wanting to learn about CRUD, create, read, update, delete, and then using methods like get, put, post, and delete with either, fetch API or using Axios, you could easily set up a backend, even easier than using Strapi. You could do it with JSON server, and I will talk about that today. But firstly, let's take a look at this thing that I built. Let's take a look. And obviously, like, I had cool music videos that I wanted to watch when I code. That's the reason I built it. But I had to take the music videos out, because if they play by accident, people are going to be like, copyright strike, copyright strike. Everybody loves copyright strike. So you can't get a copyright strike if it's your own goddamn content. So I'm going to demonstrate this app with my own content, and then I'm going to talk about it. So we are taking a little breather from the project that we're currently doing on the stream because I broke it and I have to figure out what I broke in the back end before I could move forward. So this is going to be our friendly detour to something useful as well. And if you haven't smashed the like button, I appreciate you guys. Smash the like button, not for me, but for you joining and actually giving us your feedback and joining this conversation. Hologram Nunchucks with the best name, as always. Hello, good sir. Hello, Hologram Nunchucks. So here's the application. Let me share with you. So this is the application. And basically what it is, it allows you, like I said, I made it to watch music videos on YouTube and not have to be kind of distracted by YouTube. So this is just an application I deployed on Netlify, and what it allows you to do, very simply, you could add a title, some video, right? You could put description, some description or whatever you want, and then here you literally put a YouTube URL, and you could put tags, help. That's what's going to be, help. You click add video and it adds the video to the playlist. If I collect the video,
hey guys,
oh Jesus Christ, that's one of my older videos. I look like a complete maniac. Yeah, but I could tell in my face I'm gaining some weight. So some people prefer heavier Paul and some people prefer the skinny Paul. This is obviously the skinny Paul, but the point is now I could switch between videos. I prefer this look way better. The crazy cycle look is better than the skinny Paul. But what this allows you to do is basically create a playlist of your own videos that you want to watch, or when you're coding you just want to listen to music without being distracted by YouTube. This is why I made it. But even more importantly, why I made it is because it has full CRUD functionality. Like for instance, R for read, we're getting a get request. So that's why you see this video, that's why you see this data. When I switch, it's getting that data from the API. So that's amazing. We also just demonstrated create feature where I could add new video. I'm just for this whatever. Let me copy and paste another video from YouTube here that I could find. That's my own. I could post my own live stream. Yeah, that's cool. We're gonna post my own live stream and save it here in the playlist. So as I add a new video, notice we have a new video here. I click it and it's my own goddamn playlist. From the API. And it makes it look ugly because you see the me in the background of me. Whoa, this is like gonna be Inception. This whatever. Let me copy and paste another. Wow. From YouTube. No, I can't do this. I'm gonna switch it back.
Hey guys,
I can't. Did you hear that voice? Hey guy. Oh my God. I'm gonna go back to more recent Paul because much better. So this application allows you not only to view stuff using this excellent form, be able to add videos, and then if I want, like I'm like not happy with this description, so I could go ahead and edit, which is practicing our put request. I'm gonna say old video for the title and click edit video. Notice it changes it here, it changes it in the card. I didn't spell video right, so let me add O. And then if I'm completely unhappy with this, right? I'm completely unhappy. I don't really like this right now. I could hit this delete button and it's deleted. I don't like this video. I'm going to delete that video too. So basically, just to kind of, you know, sum up, yes, is that a useful application? Some people say it's useful to be able to create your own playlist that you could watch outside of YouTube where you don't have to worry about getting distracted. But the only reason I created this application is because one of my students, I'm kind of helping to go through full CRUD application, create, read, update, delete. And if you think of any website, including e-commerce store, including Netflix, including any website there, if you would say, what do they, like especially functional websites, what do they all have in common? And the commonality is this CRUD. And so when I work at my job, believe me when I tell you, there's some sort of CRUD functionality that I'm writing and I'm working on. And that's why I keep telling people, if you're building any significant portfolio project as a web developer, one of those projects should have some CRUD functionality. So I wanted to show you in this project that, you know, it's very simple. It took me 2.5 days to build. And is it perfect? No, it's not. Does it have some bugs? Yes, it does. But the point is, now I practice full CRUD functionality. I understand how to do it with React, how to get data from an API, how to write to an API. And now I just don't have to be limited by making this simple application. I can make any application I want if I'm willing to put in the time and the work. And this is why I tell you, putting in CRUD is very important. Hey, what's up, Jose? Good to see you. Thank you for joining the stream. And by the way, guys, if you really like what I do here or not like it, but I guess if you don't like it, don't have to do this. But if you do enjoy what I do here, smashing the like button does help the YouTube algorithm to kick this video to more viewers that could benefit from it. So we just did a quick walkthrough of a CRUD application. So how do you go about planning stuff? And this is the thing that I want to talk about in this video. The most important part, when you're starting out a project, you have to plan it first. You have to plan it first. Trust me when I tell you that the most important thing you can do is take some time ahead of time to plan your project out. And I'm going to show you my project, and I show you my planning, and you don't have to make a big plan. You just have to get some sort of idea of what you want to do. And so I'm gonna walk you guys through the process in my mind, what I started to do when I work on any projects, even if it's super silly projects like this that I demonstrated. So this is my project here, and here's basically the basic plan for it. So the first thing I did, I had a vision. I had a vision for my idea. Like, what did I want to do? I wanted to be able to create a playlist, and when I click on the thing, it's going to show me the video that I clicked on and the details for the video that I clicked on. So I created this basic UI, which is basically the whole background with this video icon is the video section. Let me make it bigger because that's what everybody wants to see. You know, and then I'm like, okay, so I have some sort of video in the background. Okay, I need to have that. Then I also need to have my cards. My cards are going to have a video. So I'm like, okay, let me create a UI where my cards are going to be across the screen on the bottom, right? And then I'm like, well, you need to have a detail section. So I'm like, okay, let me create a title, some description, and some tags. And so I drew this UI basically. And notice how it doesn't have to look exactly like the application. This is just to get your general idea. Once I created the UI, I knew I needed a video section. I knew I needed a detail section. I knew I needed cards. I was like, well, what CRUD functionalities do I want to have? I want to be able to get the data. I want to be able to write the data. I want to edit the data, and I want to delete the data. So for create, read, update, delete, I'm like, well, I need to create those buttons, as you will, to or fire those actions. So obviously get will fire when this loads, so we're not going to talk about that because that's self-explanatory. When you read something, there'll be like the first video is going to show up and the playlist is going to be generated. I'll show you this in code in a second. But then I created a trash icon. I'm spitting on my microphone screen because I'm so excited about showing you guys this. I created a trash icon. I copy it from React icons or whatever, and when you click the trash icon, it's going to delete the video. When you click the pencil icon, what do you think it's gonna edit? It's gonna edit the icon. When you click the plus button, it's gonna toggle the form, and when you click the form, it's going to be add the video, show form or not show. And I see like a very excellent comment. So Jamal, hey, great to see you, Jamal. Thank you for joining us. Let me move these comments a little bit lower. So yes, eventually I'm going to make a feature. I didn't get to that right now because I really wanted to just get the CRUD functionality, create, read, update, delete. But yes, I am going to make a feature when to show or hide either the cards or the detail section. So when the video plays, right? Like you could hide this if you wanted to, and if maybe I'll do it on mouse in, it's gonna show the cards. That's a good idea, actually. I think I'm gonna do it if you're not hovering over the application. It's not gonna show the details section or the building project. It's gonna show the video view. But when you hover on it, it's going to show in the list of cards and the detail section, and then you'll be able to add stuff here as well. But anyway, that's a great idea. Let's come back there. But the point is, when you first sign a project, don't make your scope too big. make it small enough that you could actually accomplish it. And this is exactly why I don't have some of these functionalities you guys kind of recommending, is because I didn't think that far ahead. Because if I thought about everything, I would build nothing. If you think about everything, you're going to build nothing. So this was my basic layout. Then I kind of identified the data structure for now, how am I going to store these items in the database? And I'm going to show you this in code as well. And I did it two different ways. I did it one way using JSON server that you could locally use. And then I also deployed it live. And instead of creating a backend from scratch, I used Strapi, which was very easy for me to implement. Because once you write your put, get, delete, and post functionality, you just basically point to the endpoint or the API that you want to call those functions. So anyway, I wanted to have a data. Data basically has a string, a title, description string, video URL, video ID, and a tag. By the way, video ID, notice how on this form, it doesn't ask for video ID. When you add your URL in the form, behind the scenes is going to extract the video ID and save it to the database. So not only do you have the link, but you also have the video ID. And the reason why I have the video ID, because it makes it much easier for me to pass an ID to the video screen. And I'll show it to you guys in code in a little bit, and able to display the video that I want rather than constantly changing the whole URL. And URLs sometimes look different each time. You could have a shortened URL, you could have a long URL. To me, that didn't matter as long as I get the right ID. So I got my data, and then I wanted to set goals. What do I want to be able to do on this first sprint of this application? So I was like, obviously need to show a selected video. You need to be able to see all the cards. I want to have a detailed section. When I click on the card, it should select, if I clicked on this card, it should select the video to play. When I click on a card, right, if I click this card and this video plays, these details should be based on what the details for this card are. So, right, I need to have that as goal. Then I'm like, okay, I need a plus button to click to be able to show the form. Okay. And then I have an X button that if I click the X button on the menu, it should hide the form. And there should be this idea when I click on edit, it's going to put the form into edit mode, meaning it's going to load the data for the previous video, and I'm going to be able to edit. And when I click add video, it's not going to make a post request, but it's going to make a put request. And so here we go. And on delete, it should delete the video. And on button click, like this button should add the video. And that's basically it. And it's not off topic, hologram nunchucks. What version control workflow does your team use? We use GitHub predominantly, and we use GitHub projects on my current job just because it makes it easier. And basically what I do is I code my stuff, I push it, I create a separate branch, then I'll push it to GitHub, whatever cloud. Then I open a PR request. That PR request gets reviewed by another engineer to tell me the code you wrote is good or it's bad, change this. And then once I make the changes, the main high guy, higher than I am, I guess, will approve the code that I wrote, and only then will we push it to master, and we do everything in sprints. And so that's basically the way it is. It's a small company, so we're able to kind of get away keeping everything on GitHub. I know some people use other things like whatever Microsoft equivalent is, but for us, GitHub works great. GitHub projects works great. So that's what we do. So back on talking about it. So then, like, what are the most important methods that I have to implement to make this happen outside of the typical normal React functionality? Well, I need to be able to create. So I need to be able to call a post request, and we're going to be using Fetch API for this. I made a note here, using Fetch API, and so we need to be able to post. We need to have a get request. We need to have a put request. We have to have a delete request. And so I made a note of it, so I kind of keep in mind what I need to do to kind of keep track of the project. And then for the front end, these are the technologies I use. I use HTML, CSS, React, styled components because I love styled component, React icons for the icons. And that was basically it. And for backend, I originally started with JSON server for initial build. And then Once I tested the front end, I converted everything to point to a Strapi API so I could deploy stuff. So this is our other project we're going to talk about later, but where am I at? So this project here, it is powered by Strapi, which lives on my Heroku server that I broke today. Man, like, the craziest thing, guys, when you start to code, like, you're gonna, once in a while, everything's gonna be awesome, and then one day you are gonna break something. And the scary part is when you have something deployed and something goes wrong and it breaks, it's gonna break your whole application that is live. And if you have users on that application, having that application blow up in your face and users not be able to use it, especially if they're paying for you, that's loss of income. So luckily, with Heroku, I was able to, as you could see here, I rolled back from version 21, which was the most recent one that I broke, to version 27. And luckily, because of that, my application is still deployed. So if I go to open app, my Strapi application admin is deployed. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you are guys going to be working with some sort of API or backend, codingafter30@gmail.com, and you will have to write front-end code that allows you to talk to that API. And this is why I kind of keep harping about this CRUD that. So I want to show you here. So this is actually powering my Community One project with our projects, but I also, just for sake of saving time, I created a video endpoint that allows me to basically use Strapi to read, update, delete, and create data. So for instance, you see all these videos here. There's one right now. If I go to my front-end application, let me just find another video to post inside here just to show you. So if I do, again, I'm not gonna worry about the title, description. The URL has to be correct, otherwise my application will say that's not a valid URL, help. And then I add the video. Notice we have two videos. So now if I go to my backend and refresh, notice how this is written to my backend, and this is persisting data. So regardless if I reset this, right? Look, this loads and I have the new video added. And if you're not, still don't believe me that this is live with an API pulling code from a backend endpoint, what's up, my man? You're like my brother from another mother. This guy is so amazing. He does so much good stuff on his like YouTube videos. He should do more, I think, but he doesn't. The reason why he doesn't, because he's a computer science student and he's already super busy. And by the way, he's been on the show a bunch of times, and we got to have another conversation on the show. But I love talking computer science stuff and solving like cool stuff, because if you guys are not excited about coding enough to be like, you have to learn everything, then I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, back on track here. So this is the application you know that you could use. If I hover, buttons works. Regardless, the point, I just added the video. Guess what? It's here in our back end. You see? And just to kind of prove to you that my front end is connected to my back end, if I select this video that I just added, and I'm gonna stop it because I just added our live here. I'm gonna hit here and I'm gonna type live stream. And then when I save it, edit the video, not only does it change it on my front end, but you go to my back end, refresh, of course. Look, it's gonna show live stream. Here's the change that I made. So this importance, this ability to be able to create applications that not only have a front end, but you're also showing that you understand how to work with a back end where you're getting data, writing data, updating data, deleting data. It's your bread and butter. If you could do that, you could get a job eventually. And the only reason I say eventually, because getting a job is really hard. There's more things that go into it besides also learning to code. But let's come back to our regular program. So basically that's the project, and what I do first is I basically create the basic planning where I plan it out on paper like this. I don't go crazy out of the way. I talk about the data structure that I want to use. I talk about goals that I want to accomplish. I talk about the most important things that I need to create to make this work, and then the tag that I use: HTML, CSS, React, Style Components, React icons, backend. And before I do any actual backend stuff, or even trying to get data into like even locally with JSON server, I take all my UI and create it first. And I don't just create it in React, I'll create it in HTML, CSS. And once you create it in HTML, CSS, it's very easy to move it to React. And let me check out these comments here. And it says, hey, Paul, I just submitted a React project to an AI platform for a job application, and it told me I should consider trying memorize components. Is this something you have had to consider on the job? Very rarely, but it's a thing. And if you look at the documentation, it's not like super difficult, and there are like particular cases when you use it. But what I would say, the only time I would use that if it's an issue. So if someone's not sure what issue it solves, maybe it's not a problem yet for you to use, you know, and React has use memo hook now, which makes it like super easy. And Hologram Nunchuck's always enjoying the show. LOL, me too. So let's come back here. Once I create this, what I like to do as my second step is, of course, create the UI. And what did I do? I created this simple UI. It's not mobile friendly, so don't yell at me. I'm not a miracle worker. I don't have infinity time. I still have to accomplish stuff at work. But eventually, see, it's broken because it's not responsive. Eventually, I'll make this responsive, but not right now. So what I do is I create all the UI elements with HTML and CSS. Now, if I wanted to hate myself, which I do hate myself, so I'm actually going to do this for this project, I'm going to write JavaScript in this empty place here to make this work. But if you already know JavaScript and you don't hate yourself, just skip the JavaScript implementation and use React. That's kind of what I did first, and then I'm kind of going to go back, and because I hate myself, and rewrite it with pure vanilla JavaScript. But see, the first thing that I do is once I plan what I want to do, and once I plan what I want to do, like very simple, quick and dirty plan, once I figure out what I need to do, then the next step, what I'll do is I'll create the UI in something like CodePen or locally, just so I have the HTML, CSS. So now that I know what that application looks like, and you know, I know what the idea is, now I'm ready to write the code. And someone's probably saying, your plus button that's supposed to show this this form is on top, but then the form is showing at the same time as the plus button. Yeah, it's showing because I wanted to add all the elements, but this is controlled via class. So if I were to implement it via JavaScript and I didn't want the form to show, I would just add a class here called what am I doing? I'm typing like, can't type to save my life. Where am I typing here? Div, right here. Div class hide. If I just throw hide in there, it's gonna hide the form, right? Happy guy, wait, hide the form, right? See, so I thought about the functionality, I thought about the implementation, so this is basically done. Once I'm done with the CSS, then I start setting up my React environment, everything I need to do. And I already finished this, but let me go open this project, open my React application here to showcase for you guys. If you could actually walk over and talk about the code as well, might as well, because this is about coding, right? And hello, Lucky, what's up? Yep, and there is that super awesome use memo hook that you could use. That's what makes it super easy, and for using use memo hook. But here's the application, right? And this is the Strapi server implementation. Let me switch to JSON server implementation so we could take a look at it. You don't see my screen. Do you see my screen now? Jesus Christ. Let me switch again. Okay, so anyway, what did we miss, guys? What did we miss? Did we miss the idea of like, okay, planning? Let me go back here. So I talked at the beginning of the video. So the first thing I do, just to quick review, super fast, guys, I make a quick and dirty plan, what I want. I mock up the UI of what I want to do. I think about the data structure that I want. For this was like super easy because it's only video. It's one video. So that video has a ID, title, description, video URL, video ID, and tags. Then I kind of make a goal outline of what I want to achieve in this first sprint for the project, the most important methods that I need to use to be able to send those requests to an API, like post, get, put, and delete. Like everybody, if you're learning to code and you're not familiar with post, get, put, delete, you got to get on that bandwagon and learn it and do it. And I'm going to show you kind of implementation of my code. Again, I did it in 2.5 days, so it's not like perfectly optimized and pretty, but I just want to set the point home. I talk about the tech that I want to use, and for the initial implementation I use JSON server because it locally allows you to create a server online and run. And then once I wanted to deploy it on Netlify, which this is actually deployed, I had a nice music list, but I can't have music here because people will say like YouTube doesn't like when you play stuff that's not yours. I get it. And so we come back here, and then that's implemented with Strapi. Right here you could see the videos that we have. They live on this CMS. Strapi is amazing. It allows you to create super fast API, which allows you to test your front-end application and build complex applications. So kind of going back to the, let's go back to the code and kind of talk through it in a bit. Let me make this out. And before I go into the code, let me see if there's any questions. Okay. Okay. There's some blah, 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 blah. You could now see my screen. JR bugs. You think it'll be overkill to include that diagram in your portfolio or GitHub README alongside your main projects? I mean, like if it looks like crap like mine, I would probably not include it. And usually that thing that you create is going to be done by like a, you know, web designer. They're going to kind of give you the design. They're going to have all that for you, and your job is going to be mock that out, and then the data stuff you're going to figure out yourself. I mean, it's up to you. I personally don't include it on mine, but I'm going to think about it since you kind of brought it up, if it's useful. I mean, the most important part for me is like make sure you have a good portfolio that works and you're able to at least one of them, don't have to be all of them, like if you don't want to listen to me, but at least one of them should have full CRUD, create, read, update, delete, and some sort of authentication, even if it's using a CMS like I did Strapi. And then this is another great question. How do you find, and Arif, thank you for joining us here on the most unprofessional live you'll ever see, but that's okay. That's how we do it here. How to find a coding partner. Can you find me a coding friend? Please, working for open source project might boost my learning purpose. Yeah, maybe, like I get it. Like what, like it's hard, man. I can't even find partners, believe it or not, to code with me. And when I say that, like everybody be like, yeah, I'll code with you. I'll definitely do it with you, Paul. But then show up day and night, like day after day. No, most people will start something and then they will leave and will quit, or they disappear and you never find them again. So even I have hard time finding reliable partners, you know, for coding. It's just, you know, very difficult. But you know, there are a lot of like Discord channels. Discord, I actually have a Discord. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. People get upset at me, Paul, you're not on Discord all the time. Like, well, YouTube is not my job. My job is a developer, and so I can't be on Discord all the time talking to people. But we have other people in our Discord channel. They're fantastic. So if you have questions or want to find a coding buddy, you might check out this Discord channel. I posted it on the bottom link. Check it out. We have spammers, webcam HD. This bro, just go website and jerk off. Thanks, webcam. Because I'm really slow at checking stuff out. I'm just gonna ban you because that was very productive of you. You know what I mean? But that's probably one way not to get a job. So if you go to that website that I just banned, you're not going to get a job because you'll be wasting your time. But we'll come back to that. Web Dev Junkie, what's up? What the app looks like again real quick. Well, right now, the funny story is I broke my backend with Strapi, believe it or not. You could break Strapi easily. That I work with GraphQL. So I kind of took a break from the main app we're doing. The main app, I reverted the broken changes I'm still gonna have to fix the changes when I'm gonna do the update. The normal application that we're working is under community1project.com, and currently this is what it looks like. But we are taking a break from this while I solve the issue that I'm having. You know, yeah, and this works. You could log in, you know, and then you could leave hateful comments. Like, that's why I make everybody log in if you want to leave a comment, so I could know who you are and I could track you down by your email, because like some people will be like, you smell, you know, nothing useful. But yeah, you have to log in to add a comment. So anyway, but this is the application. We finished kind of like the first functionality. We have a dashboard section to add portfolio. We could log in, log out. We could view basic details. And so once I fix the back end, I'm going to talk about what's the next feature I want to implement in here. But now we're taking a break. This looks ridiculous because so in the background is basically a glorified to-do application. Basically, you're able to create a playlist off YouTube-based YouTube URL. So you throw a YouTube URL here, you put your title, description, and tags that you want, and it's going to add that video to your playlist. And I usually do this for music videos. The only reason like I'm not showing music videos here is because YouTube hates when you listen to other people's music. But that's what I made it for. And then you could add, delete, update, like whatever. Like if I want to, edit, I hit the edit button, I'm able to edit. If I want to add something, I'll click the add button. If I want to delete, like I want to delete this live stream, I hit the delete live stream and it deletes that last video. So very simple. The point of this application is just teach beginners of basic CRUD and why it's important. And once you know CRUD, you could basically build whatever you want. So that's kind of what we talked about. I created this very simple mock-up, kind of talked about, you know, the data that I need, goals for this first sprint, kind of the most important methods that people should know about: post, get, put, delete for full CRUD functionality. And for the front end, we're using HTML, CSS, React style components, React icons. Backend, for now, I initially started with JSON server, and then eventually I hooked it up to work with Strapi. So the deployed version is actually, you see, this is my Strapi. These are the videos that I have currently in there. So it actually has a backend hooked up. But first, I originally created with React server. And so looking at the code, I use style components. And so the most important thing for this application, I need to basically understand how to post data, how to update data via put, and then how to delete data via delete, and then also obviously get data. And I just didn't go too crazy. I didn't use Axios. I just used basically fetch API. And so I created these functions. I created a function to get the data. I created the function to post the data. I created function to put the data, to change it. And then I created a function delete the data. And basically this allows me to implement all the functionality that I need. And then I went and kind of, once I had my UI, by the way, I created the UI first in CodePen. I already closed my CodePen. Oh no, it's open. It's right here. I first created the UI in CodePen with CSS and HTML, and then I basically went ahead and converted, I don't know how to use my own computer, and converted everything into styled components. So basically this is a simple React application. I literally started inside app.js, and we have the main app function. And basically to getting videos, I don't know why I wrote a custom hook. There's no reason for it in this application because it's only being used in one place. I could have kept it here, but then at the same time, it does make my code look cleaner by not having all that logic here. And then basically, you know, once we call use effect, if there's a video, this is when you click on the card to change the video, we will set the selected video. I guess I could call this video ID and set video ID. That would make more sense. And then I created a function, and I created this on the global parent. And the reason why I did it on the parent, if people are wondering, actually, let me open the reason I did it on the parent. Let me go to the app. Is I need to have the state for editing on this edit button. So when I click this edit button, basically what it does, it puts my form into edit state. And I also need to have ability to set edit off. For instance, if I go to the form and I close, it should cancel out of edit mode. So if I hit add, notice I'm not in edit mode. If I click the button again, boom, edit mode. And so I made because I didn't want to use context, I didn't want to use Redux for this application, so I kept it on a parent component so I could pass it down to here and then pass it down to the form. And that's kind of why you see this function handle editing in the parent component. And I was talking more about passing set editing, not actually handle editing. Then since I'm using my use get data hook that I created, I'm kind of mimicking similar to how like GraphQL hooks look. You get loading, you get error, and so if it's loading, show loading. If there's an error, show error. And if we want to take a look at this hook, let's go there. And basically, this hook implements our API method. So we have here get data, and basically this hook calls that get data method for our CRUD. And then we basically set our videos, set our loading state. If there's an error, let's set error. And then we update all the stuff that we need to do. And basically we return the videos, set videos, loading, and error. So we have that available in our app component. Boom, right there. And so that hook takes care of everything. So now I'm just able to pull the things that I need and use them where I need to. And let's look at the comments for a second here. They say you made it once the spammers join your live streams. 100%. I love me some spammers. What are you using for data visualization? For this application, I'm not really using anything. But if I were to build something where I need to visualize data, I would literally use D3. And the reason why I would use D3 is because it's very commonly used in actual companies that do data visualization. So if you want to add value, learn D3 is definitely going to help you guys stand out. But that's what I would use. All right, endpoint, gotta go. But keep the grind up, everyone. Do what you want. Do not for the money, but for the joy. It gives you 100%. And refresh the page. I looked at the comments so long ago, not sure which page you want me to refresh. Do you want me to refresh the one with the video app or the one with the dev hunt? I gotta be faster on look at these comments. Hey, you're welcome for the listener. Webcam HD again, back with the people you just have to ban everybody. I don't know how this is just non-stop. They could create multiple billion accounts and spam you. That's phenomenal. And Emmanuel, good to see you. I'd like to work with a developer that can guide me through my journey as a self-taught developer. I'm trying to learn as much as I can by myself, but only work with a mentor until when it gets more difficult. And sometimes you're able to find mentors. A lot of them, it costs money to have a good mentor, because just think about it. If someone's getting paid like $50 an hour at their job and they're willing to give you an hour of your time, they're sacrificing stuff they could be doing for work. So I have one-on-ones that I charge money, but to give back to the community, I do offer 4 hours a week free coaching. And by the way, that goes by fast. I think I'm already booked for 3 weeks. And what I'll do, not right now, but in because I want to make sure that when I share this link, I share it to people that stick around and watch the show. But I'm gonna post this link in another 30 minutes or so. So if you guys want to book and take advantage of free one-on-one coaching, you guys will be able to do it. I also have paid coaching if you guys want to pay me, of course. But I do want to give back to the community, And so I do volunteer 4 hours of my time free a week. And initially, when I started, I basically did a lot of them just to kind of, because I love meeting people and chatting with people. And so I had like 20 one-on-ones. And if you think of at least 20 one-on-ones, they all like say half an hour, but sometimes they go over an hour. So that's 20 additional hours of like one-on-ones that I have to do that I don't get paid for. But you know, I don't mind giving back to the community, but I did have to limit. Now it's only on Sundays, only 4-hour window. So if you guys want some coaching for free, you could kind of go on my Calendly link that I'll share later, and you guys could schedule something. But like I said, they go fairly quick. So anyway, talked about the code here. And so I created a couple of components here. I created a video player component, which is basically the area with the video. I created description card for the descriptions, and then I created, you know, the add video form. This could probably be called add video form. And where am I going? And that's this form here. But the most important part is not really that. The most important part that I want to kind of talk to you guys about is this idea that you should be familiar using fetch, and you should be familiar with full CRUD functionality. And it's not that hard. You just have to spend some time and kind of work with it. But you need to know how to write a basic post request, how to write basic get request, how to write a basic put or update request, and you have to know how to do a basic delete. And once you're able to post, put, you know, get and delete, you could create whatever, you know, application you want. Pretty much anything that your heart desires, you will be able to create. And in this case, I used JSON server, which basically allows you to store all your functionality locally in a local DB file, which is kind of cool for development because you don't have to worry about trying to build a backend from scratch. You could just really start building the front end and not waste any time and be able to do full CRUD application with JSON server. And I'll show you the package you use. You could actually go to Google JSON server, and you'll be able to, the first thing that comes up is the NPM website where you could basically download. It shows you how to use it. It showcases, you know, how to install it. I install it globally because I use it all the time. It shows you an example data that you can use. And then it's very simple. You just run JSON server --wash db.json, and it's going to run. So in this JSON server, I might have changed. So let me check here. Go to app. Make sure that I'm pointing to my local environment. Yeah, so if I want to run the stuff here, let me open up my terminal just to show you a quick example. So to start your server, you type JSON server --watch, and then the name of the file, which is db.json. And what it will do, it will create those endpoints for you. So I have a couple. I have this video endpoint. So if I click on it, I'm going to show you here. Up. So when I click on that endpoint, it'll basically, that's not it. 1 second, guys. Why is my, what is happening here? 1 second, guys. I'm trying to copy and paste, and I don't know how to copy and paste apparently. So this is the endpoint it creates, right? And you could see the items that I have in this endpoint. I have a bunch of items here. And so this is a local database running off my running via JSON server. So if you take a look at my code here, see here it is running locally. And so I don't have to create a backend from scratch. I could just use this one. It's very easy, very simple to get started. And that's what I recommend for a lot of beginners who are looking to learn how to work with APIs but don't know enough backend. The simplest thing, just use JSON server. And then if I run my application here, let me go here, set this up, and VM, make sure I'm using the proper node. Nope, that's not it. NVM use system. And just to show you, and so this is not the deployed version. This is going to be a locally ran project that I have on my machine. So let me start up. Yep. Let's wait for it to load. And basically, this is the application running locally on my machine, and everything is using that JSON data file. So I could switch to the song that I want to play, the video that I want to play. Let me stop it so I don't get copyrighted. I could edit stuff. And so if I let's pay attention to this night drive 7, I'm going to edit it. Now, just put random text in there, hit edit video. It makes the changes. And then if you look at your local file running JSON server, you will see that edit right here. This is the title I just changed. So you could see that my front end is connected to JSON server, and JSON server takes literally 5 minutes to set up. So you could make a pretty complex application with full CRUD functionality without having to create your own backend or even Strapi. And just to show you that I'm not lying, let me change this back to another name here, edit, and then let's say Night Mix 2087, because we're cool. Edit video, it changes the name. If I go back to my code, see right there. And that's the beauty of using JSON server, because now you're able to make a full CRUD application where you delete, you could edit, right? You could add, you could get. And so that's amazing to me. So there's no excuse for you guys not learning full CRUD functionality, especially with something like JSON server existing. And I believe it's a TypeCode website. I'm not sure. Maybe you used it. You don't even have to create and use JSON server locally. You could go to TypeCode, I believe it's this one, JSON placeholder, and you could literally use their pre-made API. So they have endpoint for posts. See, you're able to see all these posts, and you could practice querying these posts. You have, you could see photos if you wanted to see photos. You could see, I clicked out too quick. You could see the photos, right? You could practice CRUD without even installing JSON server locally. And so this is awesome, no excuse. And so they show you all the requests that you could make. You could make a get request. You could get single. You could get by the name of the endpoint. You could do put, you could do patch, you could get delete. So no excuse, literally no excuse for you guys. So for the video, yeah, I kept it super simple. It literally keys off the so when I use JSON server, by the way, let me rephrase that. So it's definitely on Strapi, that's the point. On JSON server, I actually I use UUID to create this ID, and then I go off based on ID. And obviously, when I use Strapi, when you add stuff to Strapi, Strapi creates its own ID. And the only reason I use the video ID is because the URL, it could be a short URL or it could be slightly different. So I have a regex expression that basically takes the YouTube URL, takes out the ID and saves it as video ID, because that's what I'm passing to my video player to be able to show the data. So if you look at the components, video player here is basically an iframe, which I just put the video ID. So there's nothing clever about this. It's just I pass a video ID to an iframe component. And where do I get this video ID? I have this utils folder, and I have this basically function called get video IDs from URL. It's using regex. I just Googled it for the regex that I need. And basically, whenever I pass a URL, when someone says it's a form, it will take out the video ID and save it in the database. So if you go to add video form, as you could see here, handle submit. You see here I am. I'm just taking the URL, passing it to that get video ID from URL function, and this returns the video ID. So I'm able to save the URL if eventually people want to link back to YouTube to see where they found that video or whatever, or to share the video with somebody else. And I also have that video ID. That's the thing that I pass to the video player in order to show it inside that iframe. Hope that answered your question. No, this application is like super beginner friendly. This is kind of, I'm saying, like anybody who's starting out should be able to build this application fairly easily if you understand the basic, you know, put, get, post, and delete with fetch. And if you want, you could use Axios, and you don't have, like, for the front end, I think it's like the bare minimum that you need to know. Yeah, and that's cool. JSON server saves changes permanently. Yeah, right. It saves the changes permanently onto your local machine. You basically, it fakes a database, and so it saves all those changes to your DB.json. And again, I created this basic project to kind of showcase that in a couple of days or a week, or even if it takes you 2 weeks, you could kind of implement some sort of glorified to-do app where you could fake writing to the database using JSON server, or you could even use Strapi or another CMS. And more importantly is you learn full CRUD functionality, at least the basics, you know, the get, the post, the put, and the delete. Because with that, like, you could build whatever you want. You could build any clone you want that will be functional. You could build mostly any websites you want, and the only difference will be is the complexity of the implementation of the basics, you know. And that's like for the front end stuff. If you're writing back end code could obviously get complex, but for people learning front end, like, I feel like to get a job, if you can't kind of create an example, like a bare minimum, a to-do app, and then a step above that, like this application that I made, if you can't make it where you understand how to use very basic, you know, fetch with, you know, using get, using post, using put, using delete, and knowing how to take that JSON data, get it back, and be able to do something with it in your application, I think it's going to be really hard to get a job in 2021 or 22. I think the days of I made a simple website are unfortunately over, and this is kind of why I built this project, and to kind of showcase that, look, here's an example of what you should be building, and hopefully give you some ideas so you could come up with any idea and make very, very, very useful apps. And yeah, John Smilga is the best. By the way, guys, if you stuck around long enough or just joined us, I I like to volunteer my time. By the way, guys, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I'm some dude on the internet, right? I work as a developer. I've been working for 3 years. I'm considered to be kind of like mid-level kind of developer. That's what everybody at work tells me. You're no longer a junior developer. And they tell me you can't call yourself a junior developer because you make everybody else look bad. So I'm like kind of beginner, mid-level developer, I guess. That's what I consider myself. So I don't upset any juniors here. But the point is, I'm some guy, random dude on the internet, but I like to give back to the community. So I do offer one-on-ones. They're only on Sundays now, at least for the free ones. I just want to give back, want to do something good for my soul. So I do 4 hours a week of community service, and my community service is these one-on-ones that I do. So I'm going to share the link with you guys, in the comments. So if you guys want to jump on and meet up with me, we could talk about code. I could talk about all the things that I'm all the code that you see on the stream. If you want to look at your code, if you want any suggestions with React, or resume help is huge, or setting up LinkedIn properly is huge. 4 hours a week, I do it for free. Obviously, you could get paid one-on-one coaching. That's up to you if you want to do that. I don't even promote them. If someone wants to pay me, that's great. But for the community, I'm willing to sacrifice 4 hours of my time to help someone in need if they need it. But that's enough about that. So, we basically talked about this general process. And again, I said general process when you're building application, and the more complex application you make, the more you got to plan ahead. And just to kind of review what we talked about, literally, I created this very basic mock-up of what I wanted to show. I basically have one data item, which is just the video. Eventually, we could add authentication to this so people could have private lists and then share lists with other users. And then they could comment on playlists and we could do that later. But for now, this is what it is, like super simple. I talked about the goals that I wanted to achieve in the first sprint. And the reason why I like doing it like this, make achievable goals, don't do too much stuff, because you want to finish the sprints that you make. So I finished this application, it deployed, it works. All the functionality that I wrote here works. So I could leave it alone and not worry that I have an unfinished project, because all the things that I advertised, they work. The thing when you... Damn, I'm so bad at sharing the screen, guys. So I made this very easy mock-up, kind of talking about, and I was kind of talking about this, the data structures that we have and these basic goals. I kept them simple. And what I was just talking about, but not sharing my screen, is this idea, keep your scope small. So I created this application. It's deployed. It does everything that is advertised. So it's a complete application. The biggest problem with a lot of people, they make a lot of little apps, and first of all, they're not finished. And second of all, maybe they created the scope too big. They did half of the project. They didn't finish the rest of it. They deployed it, and it only does half of the stuff, and that looks bad. Instead, keep the scope small and make sure that it works. And then what I did is I went and I created the layout with CSS. I also coded the form. Right now it's hidden. Let me unhide the form. Here, I created the form as well. And so, I create everything in CSS and HTML first to keep it simple. Then I go ahead based on my plan. I start, coding what I need to do. And before I code, by the way, if you didn't see, I already knew ahead of time what tag I'm going to use. I'm going to implement all the requests using fetch. I'm going to use React style components. React icon was the library that I also needed, and JSON server to build. So I had that in mind. So when I came back and started writing code, it's very simple. I knew what components I needed to do. I could have add video, should be like add video form, because that's what it is. I could have named it better, created my button, my description card that keeps the video description and has the handle delete and added button. Basically the description component is, this is the description component, this is the add video component. And then I basically, all I needed was to have a card, which is, and this is style component. Style component, I like style components a lot because I like to scope my CSS, and people could disagree with me or agree with me, doesn't matter. At work, I do what I need to do. So if they tell me not to use style components, I won't use style components. But I like using style components in React applications that I make. As an example here, I created this input component a long time ago, but I was able to literally just copy and paste this code here. And because all the CSS is local to this component, I didn't have to write any additional CSS. It just works. And to me, it saves a lot of time when I build personal projects. And then I created the video player. This video player I also created a while ago because it's styled with styled components. It was very easy. I just copied and pasted from my previous code. So that's why I like doing style components. And that was that basic CRUD application. Basically plan it out first, make sure you know your goals. Second step, build out that UI. And third step, in you know, start coding it out based on the plans you outline. And I'm not saying your plans can't change, but those are the basic 3 steps that I will tell you. Number 1, create a plan. Number 2, create all the HTML, CSS. And then number 3, break everything into components and code it out and add all the functionality. There's more intermediate steps, but in the big picture, that's kind of how it is. Let me look at the comments here. So, do you think it's bad not having animations on your portfolio? My portfolio is clean, but it has no animations other than the nav menu. All the portfolios I see seem to... Don't worry about... Your goal is not to be a graphic designer or animator. There's people that specialize in CSS animation. And to be honest, if you wanted to add animations, there's plenty of like libraries. I forgot one. I think there's React Animate, or like, I don't know what it is. I just saw one recently that you could add those effects super easily. And I feel at the beginning, like, don't worry about it. And a lot of, by the way, sites that do have animations, to me, it's a distraction for people trying to read your portfolio. Like, to do animations right is hard. Basically, if you're putting animations for the sake of putting animations, don't do it. Animations should... basically, you need to have working and clean UI that works, that is easy for people to use from usability standpoint, that could stand on its own with animations or without animations. If you add animations, it's not for the sake of adding animations to see, look how much like my site moves. It's because you're trying to add some additional kind of UI, not functionality, but like flair, but it's not your main functionality. So I hope like that kind of makes sense. I stay away from animations. If you want to learn how to make animations, you could just build a bunch of small projects. But for my portfolio, outside of like super simple stuff, I keep it simple. You know, like a simple fade in effect is good enough for me. But let's see here. Another reason to join the industry sooner than later: entry barriers getting tougher and tougher. RIP simpler landing pages and portfolios. If your portfolio has like a super like CRUD functionality and you have authentication and you have a database that you're working with, I think that would be like the bare minimum in my opinion. Or an e-commerce site where not only can you see the products, but you could add products, would be the bare minimum nowadays. And it's not fault of the developers, it's the fault that the technology is evolving and that you just need to know more to create more complex like functionality. But the good news is, it's not that there's no junior web development jobs. There's plenty of junior web developer jobs. It's just that a lot of people underestimate what a junior developer expectation is. Like, look, if you work at McDonald's, nothing wrong with working at McDonald's, by the way, but if you're folding hamburgers and that's like $8 an hour job, right? Now, if you work as a construction worker, obviously the pay scale could be, you know, bigger. But let's say your job at the job construction is to carry roof tiles up and down the stairs, and you're not even building anything. They might pay you $15 an hour because it's like, okay, you're doing more labor, but you're not actually laying the roof stuff. So we're going to pay you $15 an hour. Now, people that do roofing and they know everything, they might get paid $50 an hour. And same thing with web development. It's like when you're starting out, if the value you provide is low, you're not gonna be able to get hired, right? Because like a lot of like pay scales start like 45, 55, 65. You could even get a job $80,000 a year. So if your value doesn't equal that $80,000 job that you're applying to, how are you going to get hired? That's just not going to happen. So I tell people, keep your expectation, like keep it real, and at the fact, understand that you actually have to know what you're doing and you have to constantly learn, grow, and raise your level that is expected by the industry to say you're a junior developer. And if you don't have that, you're not going to make it. Artur, what's up? How you doing, my man? Just waking up. Man, I know you jump like it's so... What time is it over there? You know, probably still early. Like, man, but glad to have you here. I'm doing really good. Glad that you're able to catch part of my live stream as always. And yeah, it's so true. I feel bad for people coming to web development. Yeah, and watching old videos about getting to develop within 3 months. I mean, that's all like myth and flair. Like, it's just to sell stuff, right? If you saw my video, how I'm like you know, I'll show it again. I'll show, like, I'll find the video. It's hilarious. Like, because you need to be, don't think about like how fast you could get a job, but think about the process that is required to get the knowledge and actually be really good at what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually learn to do the thing that you're doing. And so I'll show you this video in a second here. This is me making fun of people that say you could get hired in 3 months because they want to sell you a course. They want to sell you a magical course. And I just got this baby. Hold on. They want to sell you a magical course. And I'm not saying, like, I buy courses, but at least don't try to trick people by saying that in 3 months, getting a Python course, they're going to get a job. Maybe if they're a mathematician and have a PhD in math and they learn a little bit of Python, yeah, they'll get that high-paying job. But this is the video I made, kind of making fun of that. That's my car, by the way, guys. That's like my real, and I just got this true car. Baby. Look at it. Amazing. After like 3 months. Hard, you know. I took this course on Udemy. 3 months later, making over 250K. You could do the same thing. Just get my link. It's super awesome. Hey, get away from my car. Yep. No, that's still my car. I told my buddy I want to prank everybody. I want to tell everybody the amount of money I make on YouTube is so much money that I was like, let's pretend that this is your car, but it's actually my car, and we're gonna put it in the video and say how, you know, you could get a job. But the point that I'm trying to make is that it's hard. Like, if you're thinking like, okay, let me find the quickest way because you just want to get a job and you don't love coding, like, it's gonna be really tough. You need to enjoy it, because whatever expectation you think of how fast it's gonna take you a job, you might be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? And let's see, this is a good comment here. I've been on a large scale project for 3 years. We have 0 animations in it. Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason in majority of the projects. You know, animations are probably more important. Believe it or not, for marketing related landing pages, and this is actually not true. I used to be in marketing and I used to read a lot of research. So actually, if you watch a lot of landing pages, the proper ones that sell the most, that have good copy, actually they don't have any animation, because it's actually been proven that looking at animations adds additional like mental like load on you, and it makes it harder for you to make buying decisions. So if you want to sell something, definitely do not have crazy animations. You know, animations is like, it makes sense if you're creating like an art museum website, right? And it's an art museum, so your website should kind of represent that. So you would add cool animations to get people excited going and seeing the art projects. Like, it has to be relatable. That's what, in my opinion, what I would say. But yeah, 100% Web Dev Junkie. Web Dev Junkie, by the way, has an amazing YouTube channel, and he does some real coding on his channel. I mean, I do kind of real coding, but he's got a lot of great tutorials. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Arthur, you're kind of right, but when I updated my picture on my Twitter profile, like, you're thinking about the actual tweets, but yeah, you could update your picture, some stuff in your bio. But yeah, I totally agree with that. And then people are agreeing with Telegram. Yeah, courses from John Smilga are very good, but very slow. There's a reason for that, because he doesn't want to skip the basics to make sure that you guys are getting a good foundation, to make sure that whenever you get to higher level stuff, you're not glazing over it, but you're able to do it. And also, you could watch his course on 2-speed. I watch everything on 2-speed. There's some sites I go to that allow 3-speed. I'm like, oh, 3-speed, fantastic. Framer motion, I don't think I used that before, so I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, 100%. The only, like, eventually that's what I see, like, my maybe like 3-year plan, maybe like more 5-year plan, because you have to understand, like I'm still feel like I'm a beginner on my journey as a developer. So my initial goal is just to become a better developer at my job, and then kind of grow this channel via sharing my story. And then the second phase is to, okay, let me on my free time do some one-on-one coaching, so I get comfortable about talking about coding and learn to get good at answering questions live and helping other people based on the problems that they have. It's more for me to become a better developer, and like I'm obviously going to charge for that. And then but you can't scale one-on-ones. And then my third step is to, like, I'm probably not going to release a course. Maybe I will release a course, but the third step, probably create a software as a service platform and do that. But I just have to feel like that's not my immediate goal, but that's definitely a goal that I want to get to, and hopefully that's how I'm going to make most of the money. But that's in the works. But eventually, yeah, lol, 1 a.m. Jesus Christ, that's not even the early, that's late. Lucky, I know you're crazy, always 2:12 a.m. I go to sleep like 2 a.m. so I get it. Don't ask me what time I wake up. Okay, I'm glad to see everybody's having a good time. Yeah, but not posts. Yeah, Twitters, you can't update tweets. I learned it the hard way. I made a tweet and I was instantly wanted to regret it. It wasn't bad, but like not what I wanted to type. So it was annoying. Yeah, it's not, they do it for a purpose. You know, if you have a drunken night, you had some fun time with your buddies, and then your girlfriend dumped you, and you're at home drunk, crying at 5 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden you get that Twitter. That's why Twitter does it. And by the way, reading those tweets I wish, Jesus Christ. Reading those tweets I wish I didn't post from other people is hilarious. And that's funny. You could, so I don't say it's misleading. I'm just going to add to that. So you can make tons of money making simple landing pages, but you don't need to know web development for that. There's plenty of landing page makers, but what you need to know more importantly than that is you need to know copywriting, and you need to know how to drive traffic to those landing pages. So if you know how to drive massive traffic through paid ads, because I used to do this marketing stuff before, and you know how to copyright, basically writing text which makes people sell stuff. It's like, until I discovered how to do this, I was like lonely, but now because of this I have monkeys in my life everywhere. Like, you know, copy, like basically writing text that sells. That's, don't judge me on my copy example there, but that's the point. Good like copy like is what you're getting paid for. Luke, great to see you coding after 30 with lots of exclamation points, because that's how awesome we are. What do you need to know as a junior front-end developer? You need to be able to look at the mockup like any website that you see, and you have to be able to recreate it with HTML and CSS. Then you have to know enough JavaScript and React to create an application where you're able to basically display the UI logic and representatives used based on button clicks or, you know, page changing. And then you also need to know how to write asynchronous JavaScript code, and at least utilizing fetch or Axios to cover all your basic requests like get, post, delete, and put. And then you also need to be familiar with what an API is, so you could understand, if you have API endpoints, how do you use that CRUD functionality via those fetch methods to talk to the API. And you also have to be familiar with basics of a database. You don't have to know how to make one, but at least to be aware of the fact that you just posted some data. Where did it go? And how do you look it up in your database to see that it actually worked? And I think that's what you need to know as a junior developer. And so as you could see, that it's a lot. And so when people like why it takes longer than 3 months to learn that, that's probably what it is. So that was my answer for you for what do you need to know as a junior front-end developer. And the reason why I just said all that stuff to you is because that's all the stuff I had to know my first week of my first job. And because I didn't know most of it, I thought I was going to get fired for the first 6 months. And I literally had to work 8 hours, go home and study another 3 to 5 hours just so I don't get fired. So if you want to have stressless kind of first time at your first job, that's kind of what I recommend. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you think people would be interested in watching one-on-ones? You could. I think there is an interest for that. And like I was thinking about it, I would just have to get permission from people that did the ones with me to share. I was thinking one step higher. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be like, I have this one-on-one, I have this private community, it's $2.99 a month. You could see all the previous one-on-ones there. So it's not expensive, but you also get the value of one-on-ones, even though they're not your one-on-ones, but you still get to learn something. So yeah, I did think about that. Yep, 100% and getting that CRUD. Could you refresh your Netlify app real quick? And I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I have a bunch of that. So are you talking about this application here? Web Dev Junkie, is it the Dev Hunt one or the video one? So I could refresh the video one or the other one. So this one, I'll just do the refresh. I could refresh this. So whenever you do, hilarious. That is amazing. By the way, there's a funny story. Nice. Hi, Paul. I realized I didn't share the experience. Let me show you guys. So, man, you made my day. I'm going to tell you why you made my day, Web Dev Junkie. I love you, my man. You're the best. So, he tested my application, and he basically sent me this video of the greatest song ever. I love this guy, you know? So here's the funny story about this. I mean, I love it because he just made my day. I'm gonna bring up my story. So I'm an idiot. I'm an old fart. I'm 41 years old. Obviously, you could be older, you could be younger, but I love this music. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie to you. So this is the funny part. Back in the day when this was a prank, I would be watching jiu-jitsu videos, and I'll go click, I want to see this jiu-jitsu video, and you know, this guy would, you know, Rick, you got Rick rolled, like he would pop up, and I'll be, oh my god, I love this song, and I would literally like watch the song thinking like, oh, like I magically discovered this video of the song that I enjoy and love, and it would really brighten up my day, and I'd be like so excited. And then like I'll go and I'll be doing like, you know, looking up, I love cats, so I'm like, let me check out this cat video, and again, Rick rolled, and they play like the song Never Gonna Give You Up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so awesome, I love this song so much. And then eventually I realized it was a prank. But I'm like, prank? I love this guy. It was more of like a happy, pleasant surprise. Man, Web Dev Junkie, you're the best. That is fantastic. Thank you, my man. Yeah, he basically wanted to do this. By the way, the fact that he did that shows that my application works. And it shows that I have to take it off internet really quickly because I don't want to see what other videos people are going to post. And I didn't check my URL regex. Well, I did check it. So unless it's a YouTube video, you can't put any like torrent top videos on it or something like that. So like I think I'm safe. But yeah, you got me good, and I love it. I just want to do front-end development. I'm not into apps so much as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript enough to know. I think like in that standpoint, you could consider, so I just want to do front-end development. I'm not apps so much. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is enough. So basically, web development and web design overlap. So if you're more interested in front-end and you kind of have this good eye for design and you don't want to learn the complex stuff that you eventually will have to learn because you just want to focus on the front-end, I would say doing and following web designer path rather than web development. You still need to learn HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript. You also will have to learn Figma, and then you would also have to learn UX, UI design, and your portfolios will be of your design work and not your development work, if that makes sense. But you still need to know the basics of code to be able to at least code that UI yourself and maybe not having to build that React application. Dude, I'm not going to ban you. I love you, my man. That's awesome. Well played, and it was an amazing, good surprise for me. Yeah, true. Like, I don't remember either. It's been a while. Man, seriously, made my day. Made my day. I love it. I love it. Like, I love that video. I love the 80s. So it's fantastic. But thank you for letting me test my application. It was fantastic. And by the way, like, since we're, you know, having fun, don't be shy. Ask some questions. I'm going to do another, 10, 15 minutes or so. If you guys have questions to ask, I could feel my voice going. But more importantly, I want to say thank you. I'm not leaving yet. I'm not going yet. So queue up those questions, queue up those comments, whatever you want to talk about or me to show you. But I want to say thank you, everybody who's tuned in this live stream, because I'm some random dude that, just talking about his journey of late in my life, switching to software engineering. I mean, I got my first job at 39. So those of you who are like, oh my God, I'm 30 or I'm 25, like shut the up. You could do it. You're going to get it. There's like, if people older than I am are breaking into the field. So what I'm telling you guys is that if you really want it and you're willing to pay the price, you are going to get there. That's what I want to say. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys. Because you're the community. I'm not the community. I'm not like, let's go look Paul. I'm just glad that I could talk to you guys and hear awesome stories from you guys. And you guys bring so much love, so much positivity that I don't want to quit. I want to keep going. And I hope I'm adding value to you guys as well. You are the little building blocks of this community. Without you, this channel is never going to exist. So I just want to say thank you for that. And so let's talk about questions. So this is a good one. 100 Days of Code Bootcamp by Maximilian at Udemy. Your opinion for someone who just starting out web development. So what I would say to you, that's a massive course, 80 hours. I just bought it because I'm an idiot. Not because I bought the course, I'm an idiot. It's because I have 315 unfinished courses on Udemy. And so now I have 316 courses on Udemy. If you do 316 times $9.99, that's over $3,000 to spend on Udemy. So my answer to you is, Raj, if you already have courses on Udemy, don't buy any more courses. From start to finish, complete the course that you have, finish all the projects in that course, and then based on what you learn, create a portfolio, then create a resume, create a LinkedIn, and apply to jobs. But if it's your first course and you've never taken a course, I'm not sure if that's the best course because I didn't take it. I have it, but I didn't take it. I have it, but I did not take it. So that's my answer to you. But I know he makes really good courses, so I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed if you buy it. The only thing I would imagine, because it's 100 days of projects, I'm assuming he's going to cover a lot of little things over that period of time, but you're probably not going to build like a big project that you could put on your portfolio to get a job. Again, I'm not sure because I haven't taken that course fully. But let me go on Udemy, by the way, while you guys are here. Let me go here. My learning. I have 2 Udemy accounts, by the way. So what was that course called? Maximilian. Let me go. Recently added, recently enrolled. Yeah, it's this one, 100 Days of Code by Catamine. So like, I'm not making up. Like, I just have every fucking, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but I have every freaking course on Udemy on coding. And by the way, the more courses you have, the longer it will take you to get hired. That's my new thing. So I think, like, looking at the curriculum, he covers a lot of like basic stuff, talks about adding forms, which is all important. So I think it's going to prepare you with a lot of general knowledge. There's some JavaScript stuff, and I know he does really good courses. So what I would say is that if you have 0 courses and you want to get some experience learning wide array of technologies, because he also goes into Node.js here. He also talks about, building a backend with Express, exploring some advanced JavaScript. He talks about MongoDB, asynchronous JavaScript, all this other great stuff. He eventually, I bet, will show some web. So basically, if you want to get general knowledge about a lot of web technologies that you need to know to get hired, this will probably be a good course. It will help you, but it's probably not going to have enough of a project to build a portfolio. And the only reason I say this is because I didn't take this course yet. So I don't know, to be honest with you, but I just wanted to share my opinion here. If you don't quit, you will succeed 100%. Hold on, I went too high. Dublins, yo, yo, yo. I always come back at the end. My bad. Hey, no worries. Just glad to have you anytime. And all these are always recorded, so you always could go back and rewatch them. But I could tell by my voice. Every time I call my mom after my live stream, she's like, "What, are you sick? What, are you sick?" I'm like, "No, I do these awesome live stream." MBOED, thank you, bro. No, thank you, my man. You're always dropping gems and exactly what I need to hear. Man, I'm glad. I'm glad that the content that I put out is helpful. New subscriber from PH. Man, I love you, my man. Leo, welcome here. I'm glad to have you. You guys are the reason why I continue not giving up. Woo, what's up? What's up, Paul? How you doing? Jerbucks, what is the... I was thinking the same thing, UX, UI, maybe be more super career where you need to know HTML, CSS. They can be familiar with the limitations, but they're mostly focused on mockup, user experience, and research. Yeah, and there's an amazing course that I used to recommend, and I talked to the guy to come on my live stream, and then eventually he never responds to me. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm not going to recommend your course anymore because you ghosted me. But no, it's still a good course. I'll show you which course it is. Even though he ghosted me, and even though I recommend John Smilga because they're better, but if you were to take one course with the focus on UX UI, being not web developer, but UX UI, this is the course I would recommend. If you're looking for a good UX UI general course, this is what I recommend. It's did he take it off, or is it in my other? Let me search for it here. It's probably in my other account. Yeah, it's this guy. So I have this course in my other account. Yeah, look at this. Get this course, buy it. I don't have to get that course. I just have to switch accounts. Oh, my super secret information. Everybody's going to see it. Oh no, Paul is a real person. He has a name. I'm really scared. I publicly share my LinkedIn, so I'm not scared. So if I log out here and go to my other account, log in as a different account, and let's search for that course again. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. What an idiot. So here, basically, I'm looked for this course in my other account and it didn't show up, so I switched accounts to show you. But UX UI, like I was talking about, if you wanted to, like a basic course that covers a lot of great stuff, it's this UI UX design hybrid from Figma to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you're looking to get into web design, you could get into this course. And I don't like the fact that it says I didn't buy this course, because I did buy it. Maybe it's in my other account. Maybe it's in my other account. Let me see. My learning. Log out. Wow, stop. These pop-ups are so annoying. I want to log out. Log out. Log out. Yeah, but log in. I have 2 accounts for Udemy because I'm an idiot. Like I said before, if you never want to get a job, is basically the way to decide. The more Udemy courses you have, I logged in at the wrong account, the longer it will take you to get a job. I don't even know why I'm showing you this now. This just makes no sense that I'm showing this to you. Basically, I'm showing you, don't be stupid. Don't buy too many courses. You need like 3 courses, maybe 5 courses is enough. Learn everything that you can in those courses. Build a bunch of projects, and you'll be able to get a job easily. I just want to see UX UI course that I know I purchased and took and finished. This is the course I took. Oh, okay, here you go. You purchased this course November 11th. So anyway, I just wanted, the only reason I'm doing this to showing that this is in my Udemy, that I want you to know that like I don't just recommend courses nilly-willy. Like I probably have it, and this course I actually took from start to finish. It was an excellent course. Especially if you're looking to get into web design. It's good for web development, but once you complete this, you still got to learn more stuff. So that's kind of, I was saying, like weird detour, whatever, doesn't matter. It's fine. We're okay. We're okay. Paul, you did it. Yeah, I mean, if you have like, if your completion rate of your Udemy courses is like 2%, like definitely stop buying courses. I only heard one good argument for having a lot of Udemy courses, and that's using them for cross-reference. Well, if you have lots of money to burn, why not? But in my case, my new thing is like the more Udemy courses you have, the longer it will take you to get a job, because that means you're not learning, and not building. I mean, you're learning, but you're not building. You're probably passively learning. Um, Man, Jason versus Jason, love it. Yeah, I know I see you all the time in the live stream. Don't worry that you coming up at the tail end. No big rush. Like I said, I always record them, and I do appreciate your support. And thank you, my man. Yeah, I wonder who said that. Courses don't get you hired. Projects you build for your portfolio do. I had to write that sticky note and attach it. I was going to get that tattoo on my chest for sure. Hey, Lucky, good night. Get some rest, my man. I know you stay up super, super late. And I hope you all have same car as Paul. Yeah, lol. One day I will also not buy that car because I love traveling. And then, yeah, 100%. John's courses are the best. Yeah, by the way, if you're on Udemy, don't buy any courses unless they're on sale for $9.99 or $12.99. And you know what? Udemy has sales like every week, or sometimes it'll be 18 bucks. Yeah, but they have sales every week, 100%. So you should not be spending more than 20 bucks on Udemy. And if you buy one course a month on Udemy for 18 bucks, don't buy courses, just use their monthly. For 20 bucks, you could go on their monthly, do whatever course you want, and then cancel it. That's like a way better deal now than buying courses outright and not doing their monthly plan. Actually, I'll show you this right now. So if I went to like some random course here, I don't know why I hit business. Let's go development. Let's find a development course. Yeah, so for $20.99 per month, you see this? This is a way better deal. So if let's say you buy 1 or 2 courses a month, spending 29 bucks a month, for instance, you could watch whatever courses you want and then cancel your membership. You know what I mean? And so like I think like if you study a lot and don't want to waste money, the monthly makes sense. But when I first started on Udemy, they didn't have any of the monthly stuff. So that's what it is. Yeah, woo, like I don't tell this to people because I don't want to frighten anybody. But first week at my new job, by the way, congratulations. Awesome. Very crazy. Lol, a lot of DevOps stuff. And there's a lot of stuff in general. And it really depends where you're at on your journey. But it's hard to get hired. And then even harder is not to get fired from the job that you have, at least when you're starting out. And for me, this was the case, 100%. And so yeah, like definitely true. So I definitely hear my voice is about to explode, guys. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna say good night because I'm gonna lose my voice for sure. And I know I have my tea here. Web Dev Junkie, before I go, yeah, hold on a second. The Strapi implementation is super easy for the front end because I'm literally just like changing the URL I point to. So from the front end, the code is the same. It's basically backend, and the backend implementation is also on GitHub. So I'll share them with you here. Hold on. So that video project is here. I'll send you the link. It's the Strapi server implementation. I'm gonna copy the link, post it here. And then my Strapi API is also available. But I mean, the implementation is just regular, like as straightforward as could be. You don't really even need to see the API, but actually I'll just show you. Like, check this out. This is pretty cool. Before I go, I'm gonna show this part here. Not community one project. Heroku, that's where it's displayed. Heroku, like the front end, you could see it's straightforward, but basically check this out. And this is on unprotected link, so I'm probably gonna delete it eventually, just because people could post to at least any video from YouTube they want. But here it is, videos, and you could literally go to Postman and you know, do get, post, put, and delete, like from Postman, because I don't have any protection. The only thing that is protected from that, you could only access this URL publicly, like for those requests. But yeah, but this is basically the endpoint, and you could literally very standard vanilla post, put, delete. Like if you put that string in here and click enter and submit, or like use Postman, you'll be able to easily delete. And to show you the Strapi implementation, I did it with just regular API, REST API. You could also use GraphQL, but if you say actually, let me go back one here. Google. It's actually faster to search from here. REST API Strapi. So right here, it shows you like basically all the methods, and it shows some like examples. Literally straightforward. Get request, post. Basically, you just do a post, put the endpoint that you want. Very simple. For update, you put the endpoint that you want, and you post ID, and in your query you do your, you know, fetch URL, and then you do your header, and then you do your body, and then you just put the body in there, and it's just gonna post. As long as like the data matches, it's gonna post. Pretty simple. Yeah, super straightforward. Very straightforward. And then like if I wanted to make it authorized, you could create the bearer token, add it, and then make sure that the only people could post if they could only. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, so sorry. Again, Web Dev Junkie, thank you so much. So I was gonna say the implementation is super simple because it's literally straightforward in terms of you basically have your endpoint like I showed you here for videos, and then you're able to do get via, if you want to single with ID. The API also has get count, which allows you to get number of videos. Then you could post to restaurant. This will add an item to that list. You could delete by providing the ID, and then put, and then providing the ID. And your implementations literally, I'll show you right now in my Strapi server here. Let me switch stash to checkout. I don't want to save any changes. Actually, I'm not even going to check stash. Hold on a second. Let me cancel this out here. Let me go to my Strapi implementation. So literally, it's so simple because these are your post request, get request, and you're literally just passing the URL with the ID, or they're like super simple. You know what I mean? Like very simple, very straightforward. So the Strapi API like is super easy, and so that's kind of what it is. And yep, you're welcome. Now you could see my face. And so your Strapi server, the thing running on Heroku. Yes, so I have Strapi running on Heroku. The only reason I like Strapi is because like it's very easy to set up and allows you to create a GraphQL server. Super easy with all that functionality, majority of it being straight out of the box. And so like I do a lot of GraphQL stuff, and so Strapi makes it easy for people to get started with GraphQL. But you could do REST API as well. And for this like simple application, I just did, you know what, I'm just going to do REST, and these are just like super simple implementation. So that's basically it. Yeah. But man, my voice is definitely going to die. So I think I'm gonna actually say good night and goodbye to everybody. I love you all. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday night when we do the project night live stream. Today is Saturday, so we just talk about useful stuff that I think hopefully helpful. Sometimes we talk about code, sometimes we talk about resumes and portfolios, sometimes we talk about other stuff, but that's basically it, man. My voice is gonna go, so thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you all, and I'll see you guys next time. By the way, if you're still around and you want to see a cool live stream on Monday, go to Coding Addict YouTube channel. We do a pretty good live stream together at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And Web Dev Junkie, before we go, oh, awesome, that makes sense. I've been meaning to play around with Strapi when I get some time. Thank you for the overview. I do have to drop off, so thanks much for the stream. Good content, man. Same here. So I'll see everybody later. Hologram nunchucks later. Everybody who stopped by later, and I'm just gonna pass out and go. All right, guys, take care. Have a good night. Always hard to find the finish button. I can't do anything funny right now to finish the stream because, man, webcam got me. Right before I hang out, I get to ban somebody else. Again, I love it, like the adult sites. If you go into adult sites and more than you're coding, then you're never going to get a job. Anyway,